Hey folks, tech burnout is real, so if you're someone who constantly feels overwhelmed by an unending pile of work and constantly find yourself without any personal time at all, then this video is for you, because in this video, I'll share my experience with burnout a few years ago and how I've managed to completely eliminate it from my life with the help of 4 key lessons that I learned back in 2020. So grab a coffee, take a seat, and let's talk about burnout. So back in 2020, I remember coming across a lot of tech gurus who would flaunt their 6-figure salaries from working at the top tech companies in the world. And because of constantly consuming content from these gurus, I remember forming this warped definition of what it meant to be successful in this industry. In my mind, success was defined by 3 things: the company that I worked at, my job title, and my salary. But the annoying thing about this mindset was that every single day that I didn't hit this success criteria, I felt like I was behind in life. And every day that I felt like I was behind, I felt the need to use all my free time either solving lead code problems, watching coding tutorials online, or basically doing anything that made me feel like I was using my time productively and moving towards this skewed definition of success. But this mindset that I'd embodied about success was so bad that eventually my life came to a point where I would basically feel guilty whenever I used any of my free time to do any non-work related activities like watching a movie or hanging out with my friends or family. And because of this guilt, I ended up adopting a routine where I was literally grinding 24/7 just to feel productive. But after repeating this routine of mine for a few months, I began to feel demotivated, overwhelmed, unhappy, and to simply put it, completely burnt out. Because although I was literally using all of my free time to be productive, it seemed like I was making really tiny strides towards success. And that's when I realized that something about this routine wasn't right and needed to change because it just wasn't sustainable. So I spent the next few weeks trying to find sustainable ways to manage my burnout while still working towards my professional goals. And I did everything from reading books to watching tutorials online to even talking to friends and mentors at work. And eventually I narrowed down all of this advice into 4 key lessons to help manage and completely eliminate burnout from my life. The first lesson that I learned was that my definition of success needed to change. Success shouldn't be defined just by my job title, my salary, or the company that I work at. It should also be defined by a healthy combination of other things that matter to me and also make up a large part of my life, like my mental health, my physical health, my hobbies, the time I get to spend with my friends and family, and so on. And that brings us to the second lesson I learned, which is that I actively need to prioritize these other aspects of my life that matter to me. Most of us work a 9-to-5 job, and we take our job so seriously that if anyone asked us to do something for them or maybe to meet up with them during those work hours, we'd straight up decline. Similarly, we should actively prioritize and take ownership of other aspects of our lives that matter to us by maybe blocking out time in our calendars and making sure we don't allow any distractions to affect those plans. Third lesson that I learned is that you need to give yourself time to achieve your goals. What I mean by this is that it's okay to set goals regarding your job title, your salary, the company that you work at, and so on. But you need to give yourself a long enough time frame to achieve these goals. Because remember, most people overestimate what they can do in a single day, but they underestimate what they can do in a year. The final and perhaps the most important lesson that I learned was that consistency is much more important than intensity when working towards your goals. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that long, intensive, productive hours of work will lead to quicker success. But that couldn't be further away from the truth. Because while this approach might lead to initial results, it just isn't sustainable and is most likely going to be the cause of your burnout. Instead, you should focus on consistency, which means setting small, bite-sized, manageable goals and showing up every single day to tackle those goals, even if it's at a much lower intensity than what you're capable of. You might be surprised with how much you can actually achieve with small, consistent steps every single day. Remember, we're after this instead of this. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention was that while finding different ways to manage burnout, I found that increasing the speed at which I'm able to learn new things as a software engineer allowed me to spend less time learning new things, which in turn allowed me to live a much more balanced life. So if you're someone that feels like you spend far too much time learning new concepts, then you might want to check out this video where I basically show you how I mastered the art of learning new things quickly in tech. So there you have it. That was my experience with burnout and how I've dealt with it. I'd love to know in the comments below if you've experienced burnout in the past and how you managed to deal with it.